Welcome back to the ABC Network, the Biz World channel, the Sales World channel. We're going to be all over the place today because we're going to talk motivation. We're going to talk lifestyle changes. We're going to talk coaching, and definitely we're going to talk growth, sales, performance, and all the good stuff. Because my guest is a guru in sales, more specifically B2B, but really a sales guy who was also a coach that trains people in terms of how to do things. And we need a lot of that work today. And someone who's been in the business long enough to learn a lot and is willing to share that. And that's a great opportunity for us to learn from, our guest today, Josh Flower. Josh, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Yep, likewise. And you know what? Whenever I hear sales, I get a little excited because that's like the world I live in. And I know we're gonna be like really like knocking it out of the park here. So,
Yes, sir. I've been looking forward to talking about that too, because sales is my passion. It's been my life. I think the same as yours.
Well, so let's start there. I mean, what got you into it?
Oh, I'm glad you asked because I think most people that get into sales kind of fall into it in the same way. They're doing a dead end job or they're doing something that they don't like. And then somehow they catch wind of an opportunity to do something that takes advantage of maybe their skills, their natural aptitudes. For me, I'm dating myself a little bit here, but it was a newspaper ad that said, "Would you like an unlimited income?" Something along those lines. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting.
Uh-huh.
I was working a dead end cubicle job at the time. So I responded to the newspaper ad and realized pretty quickly that this was right up my alley and thought, let me give it a shot. And also it was a good sign that everyone I was working with in the cubicle place was like, be careful, Josh, don't do it. You should stick with the safe and secure job. And I thought, no chance, I'm giving this a try.
Josh, so there's a couple things you just talked about there because first of all, sales is not for everyone. And
No.
and you're right, especially if you're in a stable, cozy 9 to 5 kind of concept. You walk in, you have tasks, boom, boom, boom. You go in, you're robotic, and you leave. Making that transition, that leap of faith into the world of sales, which is the unknown, the pressures, the targets, the goals, the quotas, and all the stuff that happens with that, and the pitching, meeting with people. It takes a certain amount of energy, but also it takes a certain amount of people to do that. Not everybody, or certain type rather, not everybody
Yes.
can do it. I mean, people shy away from sales because it's just too overwhelming, I would say. At least it appears to be that way. As a matter of fact, it's not. It only is when you think about it in terms of sales, but it's really not selling. It's really consulting, advising, and things like that. So what you said there is typical where people's like, oh my God, you're going to go into this world, what the hell, it's not safe. You might not make it. You know, that's the typical reaction to anyone who is fearful of sales. Now, you
Yes.
didn't care. You went after like, well, there is money to be made. That's what I want to be. But now let's talk about that. You know, everybody is after the money, and I'm going to be clear about this. Nobody works because nobody, even school. Nobody goes to school because they really want the knowledge. They want to get the best degree and the highest level, so they can get the best position, so they can get the best money and potentially the best lifestyle. At least that's the majority. Maybe there's 1% that wants to do the education for the sake of education, but nowadays we can learn anything we want from any of the from the resources that are worldwide. Right? But really, it's really to upgrade our lifestyles and so on and so forth. And sales can give you that. Now, was that your experience? The fact that you made that change for the sake of the opportunity and the opportunity work. Did it work for you?
It worked for me. It did work for me because I just passed 24 years in professional sales. So I'm coming up on what is that, the silver anniversary or something coming up. And I fell in love with it immediately, even though it was a grind. I think like everybody that first gets into this profession, it is a grind at first. It's competitive. You really feel that from the other people that you're working with. But you touched on something as well that I think is really important, and that is that we are all money motivated. Unless you don't work, unless you're not out there hustling to put food on the table, you are money motivated. It's just how open to you are you to the potential risks involved in making that money? Because there are stable jobs out there. Like you said, most people like the stability of knowing this is what I get, this is what I have to do. All I need to do is show up and do those things, and I will get that allocation of money. Whereas sales is about your compensation is tied to your level of performance. So the better you can perform, the more money you're going to make. But that's an intimidating concept for a lot of people. I think because they're concerned. They think that maybe they won't be able to achieve it. And I think you're also right that this isn't for everybody. Not everybody can achieve it. Not everyone is going to find what it takes in the moment to produce the result. For me, that was an invigorating concept, but for most people, it's not. So I think you've got to be honest with yourself. However, I will say to people, and let's again agree, we're all money motivated. If you want more of it, you're going to need to take on more risk. So whether that is in the work that you do or starting an entrepreneurial endeavor, you must take on more risk. That's where the rewards lie. So just decide, do you want the money bad enough or not? You know?
It's amazing because that rule applies across the board. And again, when I say that everybody is, for the works for the money in a way, it doesn't matter what role you have. I mean, the money is just a necessary evil in this world. You need it because you got to live somewhere. You need to pay for bills. You need to eat. You need to. Your car needs. So all those needs. To just survive in this world, you're gonna need some. The question is how much of it is. Some people say, "Well, I'm content. I make what I make. I'm happy." I mean, today we're living in inflation that I don't think anyone is happy because, your income is what it is and your expenses are higher. So the only, good way to do that is to improve your skills, as, the good old Jim Ron would say, I mean,
Oh
you
yeah.
got to, you got to change you got to, pick up new skills, sharpen yourself, and learn more. And then that's about it. And the rest is history. And you have to also look for opportunities where the money is infinite, meaning that you can make more of it based on your performance. The more you sell, the more you make, right? And that's really what it is. It's funny because in my world, same thing. Uh, it's By the way, same story. I stumbled into it just like you. I
Yep.
was doing a job that it was okay. It was sales, but it was retail, and it was just I did my background is in sales marketing, but in hospitality. I worked in Disney. Then I got into travel agencies and stuff. But that was not motivating enough. There was no money to be paid, and
It's a good starting
growing.
point, though. It's a good starting
It,
point.
it, it
Yeah.
was. I mean, I learned a lot of skills that I applied to date, right? But it wasn't the money wasn't there, right? So I was motivated. I want to make more. I want to live a better life, and so on and so forth. So a friend of mine was like, "Hey, well, there's this opportunity in the insurance space. You want to take? Why not?" So I got it, and then I'm like, I can make more. Sure, the more you sell, the more you make more. Okay, I can grow in leadership. Yes, you can. There's opportunity of growth. Perfect. So it was the perfect opportunity, a perfect niche for someone, and I applied all the skills and I learned more and I just developed into it. But you're right. And I always say this in trainings. One of the probable best jobs you can have is sales, and people will be like, "Why?" Well, you are almost guaranteed you're always going to have food on the table because it doesn't matter. You'll sell anything. You lose a job, you pick up another one. Everybody's looking for salespeople.
Yes,
There's
sir.
no there's
Always.
no there's no business that's running without sales. Whether you're marketing is sales, I mean, marketing is a different concept, but it got sales all over it.
It's
And
related. Yeah.
it's related. It's their cousins, and then sometimes they're one and the same. And when you look at it, whether it's digital or stuff, somebody's pitching something. I mean, even from a video to a digital strategy, it is still pitching, just a different pitch. You just learn different skills to do it and apply it in that kind of format. But the fact is, good old fashioned sales presentation, pitch, one-on-ones, B2B, B2C, all these things are still effective. They still work. They still needed. And I don't think there's anybody that can take that. AI is not going to take that away.
Yes, sir. That's such an important thing because you're right. Good economy, bad economy, doesn't matter. Everybody needs to sell stuff. So there is always going to be work if you can be adaptable. But that's a big one, Hurricane, because people are so concerned about the AI wave, and we're seeing it. We're seeing entire professions just getting decimated by, these innovations. And look, we need to innovate. That's the name of the game. But there is always going to be a need for an individual to sit in front of another individual and broker some sort of a business deal. So this job is going nowhere. So I would encourage the young people that are out there, if you're worried, if you're don't know the direction to go, at the very least, learn some of these skills. You may not envision yourself 25 years later, like you and I, still in this profession, but learn these skills because they will serve you. And in a pinch, maybe you take a job and you're able to put some money on the table while you're going through a transition phase. So yeah, that's a great point.
It's I listen. I love AI to a degree because I mean
Same, yeah.
it's fun. I mean, you can use it to a lot of as a tool, and you're right. There are jobs that AI could definitely substitute a job task or job description because it's analytical stuff. You just put in the information and it gives you what you want and then gives you the outcomes, right? But in sales, it can't because it's a personal touch. There's a lot of variables and if someone needs to work with AI as a sales individual, let's take that for a spin. They'll have to literally spend an hour, 2 hours with a computer, put in information for the AI to reanalyze what the needs are and the wants and the stuff and the patterns and things, and be able to do it. Now, someone can say, "Well, AI can do that in a fraction of time," but there's no personal touch. People still love that, like when why and what's in it for me and stuff. Now, could it be in a world, maybe remote where it will be completely advanced that you tell AI, listen, I want to buy a house. And it says, okay, based on your demographics and history, this is the house that you're going to have. There are three houses for you. I mean, I'm just talking in the context of a real estate. Can it be that? Yeah, but it's not. But at least in the world that we live in, this interaction, I mean, the news is sales, lawyers is sales, the doctors is
Yes.
sales, everything around us. Relationships is. I always say this: kids are the best salespeople. Everybody has sold something in their life. Emotions, stories, you name it, we've sold it, whether we know it or not, we have. And it's a matter of, and by the way, it's really a transaction. Someone gives something in exchange of something else, whether service product or otherwise, versus, some sort of a compensation. It could be
Yeah, and it's
just
an
a hug,
agreement.
an
Yeah, it's
agreement.
an
That's it.
agreement. Like if people are agreeing. And you know, I'll tell you, I thought, and maybe you've observed this as well, but a number of years ago, I thought, oh, this is the industry where selling is going to change. It's the car sales industry because I thought all these companies are putting, like, go to any car company that you like, you can build your model, you can put in all the details that you want. You can do all your research online. You can even click a button to purchase now. And yet, still, if you go to any dealership in town, you're going to see that place filled with salespeople because even though I can do that, I still want to go in. I want to see the car. I want to talk to somebody. I want to see if maybe I can get a little bit of a better deal than I was able to get through the online interface. Maybe they're going to kick in some free tires or something. And so to me, this is just a case in point. Like sales is not going away. Do I think it's going to help consumers and purchasers do a better job of pre-research? Absolutely. Absolutely. But unless you're just buying widgets or some commodity, the need to have a person there that you can interface with that is you can rely on a little bit to help broker that agreement, it's never going away. It's never going away. So I think this is a safe area for young people to consider, to get into.
Sales is emotional too, right?
Oh
And you
yeah,
don't get that with an interface, right? There's no emotions with AI. I mean,
exactly.
it's a cut and dry, binary stuff. You give the information, it gives you the stuff that you need. Now, it could be
Where's the fun in
advanced.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's no interaction. There's no like, you can't tell AI your life story while you try to, get a car or something. I mean, or get a policy of something. I mean, in the insurance space, you sit down across someone from a table, and before you even get into the business, you're already talking about grandkids, trips, and this and the other, and you break the ice, and all that stuff is AI cannot
100%.
do. I mean, maybe it can do it. Like an advanced version of it, may in the future have that kind of level. But as you said, it will still be different. I mean, yes, there's car vending, services like Carvana, for example.
Yes.
You can literally purchase online a car and it gets delivered to you. It is a concept that is that, but I'm sure there is still somebody that can helps on the phone and gets you stuff. But as you said, the 99%, but this is not just about cars, anything, right? I mean, you're in software business,
Yes.
I mean, everybody can purchase a platform software, but, depends on what level. If you're talking about a major industry and you need some sort of a larger platform and it has so many, like, for example, I want to give the example of Salesforce, which I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
I've worked with them. I've used them. I've partnered with them in because in Salesforce is a big platform, CRM, things like that. I remember them when they first started just with their regular basic lead stuff, generation and farming and things. Now they have like these great opportunities and different services and they have different verticals for different industries and stuff. And but it's it's complex when you sit. I mean, when we had, like, for example, a couple of years back, we had them come in. We had a whole team, and it's just high sales executives that were coming in to pitch, because you're pitching to like a whole bunch of executives also, that everybody from operation to sales to marketing to this to medical to clinical, and everybody's talking about different things, and these guys got to know the stuff. I mean, maybe AI can do it, but all these people have to sit in the room, put a big folder together, submit it into the AI before AI can spit something back to you. It will be very difficult to do that. I mean, I'm sorry, and you're not going to get the same effect. So you're right; it's just a different world. But until then, like you said, it is still the same place. And if you start a business, you can use all the tools, but you're going to need the individuals to be able to pitch. I mean, you're a CEO of the company, you'll be asked to pitch. You see,
Yes.
this is not even selling. You just pitch into your employees. AI is not
Yeah,
going to
you're
pitch
pitching
for
to
you.
every. You're pitching to the
Exactly.
bankers. You're pitching to your employees. You're
That's
pitching
right.
to the guy that you meet in the store that you might be able to help, right?
That's right. Well, that's the thing. It's sales is again the interaction, and it's part of life success in a way. I mean, the better you are at it, the better you're probably going to do and achieve things. I mean, and I'm not talking sales as a transactional business. I'm just talking as
Like that's a modality.
it's
Yeah.
exact as a format of interaction, right? And it works. But now in your path, you know, most people hate salespeople. is
I may
is
have
that
encountered that once or twice in my career. Yes.
well, maybe I exaggerate. I said most, but people usually don't like salespeople. I mean, we have a joke that they're the second most hated people after lawyers, right? Because
Yep.
and you mentioned car salespeople, and frankly, I've had some terrible ones myself
Me
in my
too.
experience.
Oh,
And because they are not your top tier sales professionals, they are probably on the lower expertise of sales. They're
100%.
literally, just salesy, salesy, salesy. And as you get higher in the expertise of salesmanship, or saleswomanship, I'm just going to add that word now.
Yeah.
You know,
Good
the,
job.
the idea is that it changes the dynamics. You become not a salesy person. You become an an advisor, a consultant. You're not selling. You are helping people identify their needs and whatever the services they want. And you
Correct.
basically tailor things to their needs based on your offerings. So it changes the dynamics, as opposed to, like, I need cars to sell and I'm going to have to sell a car in order for me to make a commission. That changes. So there is a big, I would say, spectrum between entry level sales to high end sales. And of course, there's a big degree of medical sales, business, software, insurance, life insurance. I mean, there's different types of sales. I mean, there's everything out there that's being sold.
Oh, it's
So
crazy. It's crazy. But you know what? I think you're right. The public in general is a little bit icked out by sales because we all have experiences with people at that sort of entry level of sales, right? And that is where you're usually just pushing product, you're just trying to make sales, you're not really concerned about the other person on the other end of the transaction. You just know that, yeah, I got to sell a car today, or I need to sell these clothes, or we got to hit 10 pairs of shoes out the door before I can go home, that kind of thing. But you're right. As you sort of move up the line, you realize it's more consultative. It's actually about diagnosing someone's problems and understanding if you can help them. And then if you can help them, you go all in, right? That's when you push and you steer and you guide and you lead. But it's about that diagnosing. And it's interesting because I'm caught in two worlds right now. I'm a professional salesperson that does 6, 7 figure deals in software, in complex services, long sales cycles, right? 6 months, 9 months, multiple stakeholders, really complex sales. And then on the other side, I've started a coaching business where I'm just dealing directly one-on-one with people. And in a lot of cases, I'm cold approaching people. So I get the spectrum of feedback from people. Some people are interested, other people are insulted that I've dared to approach them and use my manipulation tactics against them. So you really, I'm sort of aware of both ends of that spectrum right now because I'm still a professional on the one side, but on the other side, I'm a bit of a newbie on the coaching side of things and pushing those services a little bit more directly to people. So it's just fun. It's fun to get a little bit of a reminder about what it was like earlier in my career, you know?
but that's an excellent point, because it is a fact. I mean, you switch gears from one line of service, right? And you start from scratch, you still got to pitch it. You still got to do all the grind. Where, as you said, it's just a little bit more difficult. And reaching out to people sometimes, like the old solicitation, sometimes gets a little tacky, right? People don't want to be bothered,
Totally.
right? Now, listen, I mean, a good example. I mean, LinkedIn. I get hundreds of
Oh
every
yeah.
week of email, right? And what the one thing that annoys me in that is just that most of these are not something. If you look at my profile, you know that I'm not going to be a fit. I mean, that's not
It's
even.
lazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're just doing a blanket stuff. See, for me, if I want to reach out to someone, I want to reach out to someone that I know that they're going to need my services, and then I have, that's already 50% of the game. You're already
Yes.
in the right niche. Now it's just a matter of like why my services versus maybe a competitor service will do better for you. But when you get these just uh, random emails that come into your box that are literally I'm like, I have nothing
Could
to
be
do with
for
this.
anyone.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. That's not me. And like, what did you see that I can use or benefit from this service? But people throw in stuff. They just see a title or something and they just think, well, maybe it is. But so again, there's strategy. See, sales and strategy, they go hand in hand.
Oh.
Sales and business savviness, it comes again together. Sales is an art and science in itself.
Oh
It
yeah.
so
I say
let's
that
let
line all the time. Yeah.
oh, really? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I
We went to
do.
the same school, man.
And you know what else? You said something before that about sales and marketing being cousins. And that is so true because in the most effective organizations I've worked in, marketing and sales are like happy cousins. They work together, they respect one another. But I'm sure you've been in environments like this where they're sort of against one another, and marketing is sort of reluctantly generating leads and then getting ticked off at sales for not taking advantage of the leads. And it's sort of a contentious relationship. So it's just, yeah, interesting. But those two go hand in hand. And I think marketing is about, yeah, knowing who is our ideal customer? How can we message with them? How can we encourage them to have inbound interest in what we're doing so that we can tee up sales? That to me, that's the modern way of selling right now, is attracting the appropriate prospects into your world. You still need the sales skills to engage with them and convert those into paying customers, but it's a little different than that old spray and pray approach that you're describing, where it's just like everyone's a potential customer. Let's reach out to all of them.
you know, it's amazing. I love what you said because not only their cousins marketing and sales. I mean, listen, in my career as a leader in sales, I've had actually to run marketing and sales and or
Okay.
run sales and work with marketing, right? So I have both experiences. So when I had both kind of like, oversight, it was a little bit easier because you are basically running both. So you can kind of diffuse a little bit the pressure between the two entities because you get
Very
the
good.
team that's coming here is like, oh, these guys are not giving us good leads. Well, I said, no, well, the leads are coming in and so on and so forth. We got to do better stuff here. And then you're going to tweak accordingly. But now when you're completely separate and you're not under the same, so you got to partner up. So now it's a matter of like give and take, like what it is. And most of the time when it's successful is when it is using the concept of the sales is the customer of the marketing department. Basically they're the client. So they work with the client to identify the market, the strategy, all the stuff, and then how they do. And by the way, I literally had a great example that happened a couple of years back. So I went to this company, and so I was the VP of sales, and then I was going to different departments and just sharing the philosophy, the strategy, the plan, and how we're going to do it, and like where are we going, like what's our sales strategy, which included a marketing piece. So I went to the marketing department and I started breaking it down to them. This is what we need to do and why. This is what we're going to be and why, and so on and so forth. And this is the audience and why, and broke down the actual elements of the business to them and the real stuff. And they were like literally like, well, this is the first time we were just doing marketing because we didn't know. We just doing marketing. We are supposed to do campaigns. We were doing campaigns, but we did not have someone to break it down to us so we can do it in this, laser focused kind of concept. And
Clarity. Yeah.
yeah, it was a simple thing. All I did is show them like, so here's our zip codes, here's the ideal audience and when, the time of the year and the different, ups and downs. Because I mean, in our business, there's like, certain like for example, in the insurance space, there is like open enrollment. So here's the time that we're going to do this, and there's the every other month. This is what we need to do. There's different types of beneficiaries or audiences that we need to target. Some of them are higher on one season versus the other, and so I broke it down to them to simple facts, and they were all excited because finally they had a match, a discussion where they can see, what level of, flow they need to do, what pressure, when they put the pressure, and so on and so forth. And it worked. But you're right. If not, then it becomes like the two-way street. Well, we give you the
And
leads, but I had one time, I'm sorry to cut, I had an agency literally that we hired, and they did I would say a lousy job, right? And they just pushed stuff out, and then they were literally spying on the call center and said, "Well, you didn't get this lead, we didn't get this call, you didn't this stuff." And we're like, first of all, you're not even supposed to do that. Second of all,
right.
if you did, let's talk about each one of those calls. I'm like, that's not how it works. There's we have regulations. There are certain things we have to follow through. So it kind of got really bad, and that can happen too.
Oh
So
yeah,
so
it
it is a difficult world. Anyways, so I'm sorry, I cut you off for a minute there. So talk, what
Yeah.
were you gonna say?
I was just going to say that, in my humble opinion, it's best to have a leader that oversees both of those departments, that has responsibility for sales and marketing, because of what you described. That leader can galvanize those teams to be cousins that play well together. Because if not, then you have to hope the executive, the marketing leader and the sales leader are able to get along and collaborate. And that's not always the way. So in my experience, and I've worked for a number of different companies, always when there's one person that oversees both of those functions, you get the best results. So yeah, I'm glad that was your situation.
On that note, so here's a thing. I don't care what business you're in, what industry you're in, right? Companies are made of different departments. So I give the analogy of a body, different
Yep,
vital organs. They all have different. I mean, our body has the liver, the brain, the lungs,
exactly.
the
Yeah,
heart.
yeah.
Everybody, every piece of the, and a part of the body has a function, and without it, we die. Right? It's the same thing in the business, But I do believe that the heart of the business is sales. The
Agreed.
brain is
Yeah,
the
there's no
operation.
blood pumping without the sales.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So you can't live without blood, right? Everybody's pronounced dead when there's a heart attack, right? And the heart stops.
Exactly.
So I mean that's really the analogy, but that doesn't mean that we are it. Everybody is equally responsible for the growth of the company, but the problem I think that some executives or I think some leadership, makes in terms of structuring, is that the performance is always given to the sales department more than anybody else. The pressure is on one end, not the others. But also, if the operations don't work, then the sales is going to be difficult because if you're not supported by all the other departments correctly, then you're not functioning well.
Yeah.
So it's a team effort that needs to be played. And so, maybe this is just my strategy is every department should still have some metrics, some performance attached to the sales and the performance and the growth and the targets of the company.
Yeah,
Not
I
just
agree
the
with that.
salespeople, because that will change. Because now everybody's motivated to support correctly, to add value, and not say, well, that's their job. They're supposed to bring the numbers, as opposed to we all have to do this, otherwise we don't have a company. You see, it
You know
changes
what?
dynamics.
I could not agree more with that. And again, the best organization that I ever worked with had this emphasis where everyone received a bonus at the end of the quarter based on the sales performance, the customer, other metrics as well that were important, like customer retention,
Hmm?
which would really promote people to sort of jump when a customer needed something. So you just pick the metrics that are most important to the business. So we're in SaaS sales, right? Which, for people that don't know, that's software as a service, meaning once we bring a customer on, the idea is that they're going to keep paying month after month, year after year, hopefully forever, if we do our jobs and we take good care of them. But if we're going to do that, we have to keep evolving the product. We have to support the customer when they've got issues, right? When they're frustrated, when something's going wrong, we've got to be there. We've got to be responsive. That's not the sales department's responsibility. That's other people in the organization. So they've got to be on that. So I agree. To me, it's really about excellence just in general. And if you're someone that's either looking to break into sales or maybe you're in a sales role that you're not satisfied in, look for excellent companies, even if you've got to change industries, because once you get on with a company that puts real thought and consideration into all of the organs, right? Borrow your analogy, that they're all working well and it's effective overall leadership, you can be sure that that's going to be the kind of place where you'll be able to thrive as a salesperson. And I don't know about you, but I was never the guy that wanted to move around every couple of years. Like, there are a lot of salespeople that make as much money as possible, and then move to the next gig, next gig, next gig. I'm a more loyal person. So I've had a couple of 10-year tenures on my resume, because once I find a good place, I'll dig in. I'll dig in and work really hard. So you can do that as well. Just for those salespeople out there, you can find an opportunity that will pay you well and give you unending opportunity, but it's got to be the right leadership. So take your time to assess that.
Again, I mean, we can touch on leadership since you went there. I mean, leadership is a whole world on its own, and
Oh yeah.
it can break or make any company, any department. And I've seen, stories, and I've seen examples of real leadership and bad leadership, good leadership versus, really not knowing. I mean, people sometimes are the helm, and they just maybe there because they have some sort of skill or education level, whatever, but sometimes they're not really the right ones, or they don't understand. They understand one part of the business, not the other.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Everybody seems to know sales. Everybody thinks that they know how sales operates.
Yes.
Yet
Seems so simple.
yeah, it's not that simple, and that's the problem. Like, and certainly we don't know about all operations, but I can tell you a good sales team would also understand operations well, because you need
Yes.
to understand, because here's the thing, we need to know everything in sales about everything in our business. Why? Because when you go in front of your customers, you're the first line of defense. They can ask you, well, how this works, how does this, how is that, what's going to happen if you did this, what's the next step? And so you need to be able to answer a lot of these questions. Now, sometimes you can bring other people with you to these presentations, but really you're still going to be the go person, and they're going to tell you. And so you want to know as much as, and the more you know, the more, the easier the presentation or the pitch, and the ability to actually, present a better value to these customers. So that's one thing.
Oh yeah. The trust is going to be higher with them as well. They're going to know that you know the business.
Well, listen, we're supposed to be the experts, right?
Yeah.
And you said something about retention. Sales and retention are one and the same.
Yeah.
I mean, the first customer service base is the sales team. If you do a good job up front, and you do the right stuff with them, and you educate correctly, and you show them, and people understand the process and how the system works and so on and so forth, they will have an easy place, and they're not going to go anywhere. And you do want to have that component. I personally, been a big promoter of retention teams from the 90s. And every time, I had the opportunity, I create a retention team within the department, and their job is to support the sales, and so basically the sales guys, they go out, do what they got to do. And then they basically, it's like a baton, you hand it down to the next team, and the next team will hold the fort. They do the follow-ups, they do the stuff, they do the due diligence,
Temperature checks. Yes.
Yeah, they check everything. They do the 30, 60, 90 days follow-ups and so on. Although that is also part of training for sales, that you want to touch base with your customers. You don't want to just drop them and move on. That's not cool, right? People build that trust and that relationship, as you said. We want to keep that, but we have as a whole team that is really securing your membership, or your you being as a customer. So it changes the dynamics before the customer service even get involved. As a matter of fact, if we do a good job, they don't even call customer service or member services or any of those guys, because they're happy. So and in sales, there's usually retention, there's chargebacks, there's things that, so you don't want to have any of that. By doing a good job, you're never going to have problems and people getting upset with you as the front line, because that you're the one who's going to get the first call. Hey, gosh, you did not explain this to me. What the hell happened? You told me one thing and these guys are telling me something else. That's not a call you want to receive.
Hey, that's a big thing that we joke about internally, is the new customer telling the implementations person, well, Josh said, or John said that it would work this way. So you're absolutely right. You cannot overpromise, right? You've got to qualify properly. And this is why I say, once you get up to higher levels, elite levels of sales, it's about ensuring that there's synergy and that there's a match. So obviously that means you need to believe in your product and your service. You need to believe it's the best or one of the best that's available on the market. And then you need to take your time to properly assess the prospect's requirements and make sure that you match up. I believe in being transparent about gaps, right? Let's get the gaps out on the table so that we can talk about them, see if they're deal killers or not. And we want to do that as quickly as possible, right? We want to, if there's, critical deal killing gaps in our offering, let's figure that out in the first hour so that we're not 9 hours into the process and realize this is not a fit. So that's where the real, I think, elite levels of sales come in, is the ability to do that qualification in or out quickly, the ability to assess quickly what the requirements are. And then once you have confidence, to be able to go really hard and, bat away the competition and get the prospects zeroed into your solution. And then obviously get momentum going in that deal and get it closed as quickly as possible. That's truly elite level sales, not cold calling, pitching a tight elevator statement. Like, that's all good stuff on the front end when you're 5 years, into your career. But once you get further down the path like us, yeah, these are the skills that you need.
Well, the pitch is the easy part. It's like you can get like someone calls
Oh
in, I
yeah.
want to sign up, I want to do this. Yeah, it's easy. I'm gonna just picture the stuff. But really, the hard work is when, as you said, you want to make sure that all the deal breakers, all the objections that ever gonna happen, you'll clear before. Because if it's not a match, it's not a match. You don't want to waste time for you and them, right?
No, I
Or
want them to be successful. Yeah.
exactly, or it gives you the ammunition to go back and work on your design or whatever flows to make sure that you
Yes.
can match that. And then you come back, say, listen, we hear you, we listened, we got this result for you, and this is what it's going to look like. Oh wow. And that now you become the best thing that happened to them. So but so now you're touching on skills.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. What are the necessary skills? Because this is not like I can talk. Yeah, let's go sales. There's a lot
Right.
of skills that get that you have to learn in this industry, or at least in this particular type of business.
Yeah, indeed. So curiosity, obviously. You need to be curious about people. You need to want to know about what the problems, they're encountering. Active listening, so the ability to really concentrate. When you're connected with someone, to actually listen to what they're saying and also read between the lines of what they're saying so that you actually understand, like, what are the real issues? What are the real pain points here? Empathy is a big one. So people often have this perspective of salespeople as just being these slickster doofuses that are just in it for themselves, right? Like, I just want to make
Cold
money.
blooded.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But no, it's about actually getting into the shoes of the prospect and making them feel that, like, hey, you can trust me. I'm here to understand what you're dealing with. And if we've got a solution, I'm going to find a way to make you go for it. But if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. Right. And then you need all the other things like, hard work. To me, concentration is one of the biggest ones. And especially for the younger listeners to the show, we know the challenges that you face in, coming up in the world of smartphones and, all the distractions that are out there. But one of the most incredible skill sets you can develop is your ability to focus and unitask. So that means when it's time to sit down and do some work, put your phone, on the, over there where you can't reach it, and really sink into the work. Start with 20 minutes, 30 minutes until you really get the itch and you just have to go and check your phone. But concentration is one that I think really separates the kids from the adults, if you will, when it comes to sales success.
I love what I mean. You're breaking it down to really the different things that we need to have as
Yeah.
tools. I mean, you're like a surgeon when it comes to presenting, service and products. As a salesperson, you need to have all the good stuff. From the hygiene piece, from the
Yes.
sterilization, from the stuff. Everything needs to be there. You got to be prepared, and that's the other thing. I would say, you know, um, prior planning prevents poor performance. So you want to have, I mean, my partner and I, that's like a rule that we've applied, for years. And,
Love that.
it's really a big deal because if you're not ready, if you're not prepped, and, that's the thing, like, you said something that's very important for our audiences, especially as you said, the younger folks that want to come into this world of sales. Folks, if you do not believe in a product, don't join a company just to sell, to make money. You're not going to succeed because you're gonna find it difficult. You're gonna lie. You're gonna people can read through you. If you're not convinced of the product you're selling, you're not going to be able to pitch it. Now you can be good, fake salesperson that can pitch anything, and I can tell you, we can sell, ice to Eskimos, as they say.
Oh yeah.
But it's not the point. It's when you're not really genuine in your pitch. You know that you're pitching just because you have no choice because your job is on the line. So if you're gonna get into a business, you got to believe in what you're selling that you can. For example, if I can't sell something because I don't believe in that product or service, I'm not going to pitch it because I know I'm going to suck at it because deep inside of me, I'm not convinced. If I'm not convinced, if I'm not going to be able to use that service myself, then I can't pitch it. I mean, I can, but I won't pitch it because it's not ethical. It's not, it's not vibing well with me. But if I believe in the product, I mean, imagine what I'll do with that thing. I mean, I'm going to go all over it.
You said the most important word, which is ethical. And that's the thing is you could be a sociopathic salesperson and sell that ice to those Eskimos or sell whatever. And I'm sure you've been in this situation in your career because I know I have, where I got in somewhere, I was maybe sold that a product or service could do something that once I got into the field, started, talking to the customers, talking to my colleagues, I realized, no, this is not it. But I was in the job at the time. For me, I had a young family and I was forced to try and make it work. You're inauthentic. You
Mhm.
you unless you're a good liar, and again, there's sociopaths out there that can just do that, it's not going to work for you. So that's what I would say to anybody is take the time to make sure that you're sold on the product and the service. And if you get in there and realize that it's not for you, immediately start looking for something else to do. Because once you can find the product or service you believe in, you can be so successful, but that is actually the most important quality. And I'll tell you, just to transition a little bit to what I'm doing with coaching now, I've really realized this with being online. So again, I've always had a sales job. I've been, I've been a career person. I've not been an entrepreneur. And so I just had to focus on my sales skills, my management skills, etc. But now that I'm online and I'm promoting myself as a coach, someone that can help with healthy habits, getting into shape, cleaning up your diet, changing your mindset, being more success oriented, I have to put myself out there. So I have to be the authentic liver of my own program, or I'm not going to be able to convince anybody that I can help them. Right. So it's that thread of authenticity. And what was the word that you used? It's like you've got to be, it wasn't authentic. It was
You got to believe in it. I mean, you got to be ethical about it. You got to be
ethical. That's
convinced.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. The ethical piece. Right. So you've got to be honest with
Oh,
people.
yeah.
That is like to me the foundational element. You've got to find a way to start from there, even if you're not going to close the deal, even if you're going to turn some people off online. You've got to be honest about what you are, what you believe in, and go out with that message. Then you're going to attract, right? But it starts there. That was a very important point, Hurricane.
Thank you. Well, you talked about, you mentioned the word honesty. I mean, folks, you can only fool someone once. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe twice if they're really not really out there. But
they're
but the
super
fact,
gullible. Yeah.
yeah. But the fact is, people will see that you actually fooled them, and you just lose the business. And by the way, you ruin your name, your brand, and maybe
Yes.
even your company, and you might just hurt your career path. So it doesn't work. Don't go for the quick sale, the one deal. You first of all, name of the game in sales is referral business, right? You want to have more people reach out to you. Hey, we heard that you did a great job here. Would like for you to come in and help us. But imagine if you did the opposite and you were not honest, you were bad. And then I love what you said right there. You got to look at the gaps. A true salesperson will actually look at the gaps. They're not afraid to touch that. The ones that are afraid, they will actually try to avoid even discussing those things because they know that's going to potentially break the deal. You don't want to do that. You want to be solid about it. You know what, and I love what you said. You need to know what may be some of the failures or some of the system, gaps that you might have in comparison maybe to a competitor. Because someone said, well, this guy does this X, Y, Z, but you say that the Y is not available here. Well, it doesn't, but we do have A, B, C, So I mean, there's ways to come back. And then you can see now, like, well, you told me the value is here. So yeah, we're going to get your 99%. Meanwhile, you are 80%. I mean, there's ways. I'm just, giving a couple of things here. But the fact of the matter is, honesty, as you said, is the key, is how you present it, and you have to be good about it. And that's all there is. Now, I love what you did, there with the transition about, your coaching business, because there's a lot of work there. Mindset. That's a big deal. I
Oh,
think we have a crisis of mindset. People are, sometimes not finding, the right positive mindset versus negative mindset, and how they do stuff. Change is not easy, and that's the other thing.
it's the
People,
hardest thing. Yeah.
comfortable, comfort zones, right? So let's talk about that. Your coaching business, focuses on really changing, people, in their behavior and then their lifestyle and their mindset and eating habits and maybe nutrition and stuff, fitness and all this stuff. So let's talk about your concept of coaching and what are the services and how do you get, people to really go from like not performing well and changing into like super performance because of those changes that you actually help them with.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So you said it. The hardest thing that we can do as human beings is to change. And the longer that we have been executing on habits, whether they're good or bad, the harder they are to change. So what I like to say is that we are all a byproduct of our habits. Our entire lives are just nothing more than habits. So once you accept that everything that's going on in your life is simply a habit and habits can be changed, you're on the way. So I really encourage people to attack this in two sort of ways that I think relate to each other quite well. The first is to get an honest picture about what you truly, truly want. Take the time to really think through, what do I want? So I've got my life and the way it is now, which is the byproduct of my habits. What do I truly want in my heart and in my soul? That's one angle. The other angle is, what do I regret about my behavior yesterday? What did I do yesterday that I'm feeling regret today? So this is something that I teach people do first thing in the day. You wake up in the morning, you do something called a regret reflection, where you simply refer back to yesterday and think, what do I regret? Regret is not a choice. It is just a feeling. So if you can tap into that feeling, you'll hear a little voice that may say, you shouldn't have had the fourth slice of pizza. Why did you drink all that beer? Why didn't you go to the gym? Why did you talk to your spouse that way? It'll just come into your head. That becomes your guideline of things that need to change. So between the vision, we help you uncover about what you truly want. And for most people, I think it's going to be the same. I want to be healthier. I want to be happier. I want to be more successful. I want better relationships. I want to feel better. These are sort of universal things that people want. So let's get clear on that. And then let's start listening to our conscience, which is feeding us those messages of what we're regretting with our habitual behavior. And then gradually we start attacking those habits. And I'll tell you that I normally start people with some very simple new habits. We're going to wake up at a time that's a little bit uncomfortable. So a little earlier than you're used to getting up. We're going to take time to do that morning reflection first thing, and we're going to get our heart rate elevated. So depending on where someone's at, that could be 10 quick minutes of exercise. It could be an hour-long workout, but something like that. And then we're going to start tracking the foods that we're eating. So at first, we're not going to apply a rigid plan of what people need to do with their diet. We're just going to start tracking so we can start to see where we may be eating too many calories, where we may be eating the wrong calories. So that's how we get things started.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
But again, so you use the word habits, and that's as you said, it's all of us, right? We're just comfortable. We've been doing things a certain way for years, and it's not working. We find that we're hitting these dead ends, right? And eventually, you want to make a difference in your life and make a change. But as you said, all those stuff. I want to be better, successful, this, that, yeah, more money, more health, more relationship. But how do I go there? It's like, again, I make this as an expression. It's time to get uncomfortable with uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable with being
Or
comfortable.
get comfortable with
Comfortable with being
yeah,
uncomfortable.
discomfort,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really got to change that whole value. Like, you were so comfortable this time. Well, get used to not being comfortable. Now, once you do that, things can start looking better. I mean, it's not going to be easy. And that's the thing. Like, sometimes people will delay this change or this potential leap of reaching out to someone such as yourself and get some help because they don't want to start the cycle. Because
Yeah.
as you said, you got to get them to wake up early. You got to get them to start counting. You got
Uncomfortable.
to get,
Yeah.
yeah, they come on, man. I mean, this is brutal. They're going to have to work out now, every day. Yeah, folks, I mean, listen, nothing in life is that easy. If that was the case, we all be peachy. We wouldn't even need to talk to each other in this world. Everybody will have a peachy life. You wake up and it ends up well at the end of the day. That's not how it is. We need these moments of like shifts. And by the way, I think you might, agree. I think you will agree is that there is no time to this. You can, today is a good day to start. It's like some people are like, it's too late. I don't know. I'm too far in. People can change on a day-to-day basis. They can change today. It's just, as you said, mindset. You got to
I'll
wake
tell
up and
you,
say, yeah, go for it,
I'll
man. Go
tell
for it.
you, yeah, I was going to say that if people want to get a sense of change, maybe a little bit later in life, check out my Instagram page where you'll see my before and after pics. So last year I was 40 pounds overweight, hadn't worked out consistently in years. And in under a year, I dropped all that extra weight and got shredded at age 50. So I'm telling you, it can be done. And you hit on something that I think is so important. We all have problems, all right? Even the person that seems like they don't have problems, we have problems. And problems are not something that you want to wish away. Problems are your opportunity for growth. So the question is the problem painful enough for you to be prepared to grow? And so for a lot of people, they dig their heels and go, no, I'm comfortable with my problem. So I'm just going to continue to live in that problem. That's fine. Keep doing it until the day comes where you say, that's it. I've had enough of this problem. Now it's time for growth. Now it's time for discomfort. It's time for change, right? It's time for habitual change. This happened to me last June. So it's been about 11 months. I woke up one morning, mild hangover, and I looked in the mirror and I said, that's it. That's it. I am not doing this anymore. I am changing. I immediately stopped drinking. I kicked out all my bad vices. I started waking up early, training every single day. It did not take long. Okay. It took 6, 7 months for me to drop all that weight and get into great shape. So I'm telling you, folks, just be honest with yourself about what again, what you want deep down inside. What do you want? Then start listening to that conscience that's guiding you. It's guiding you. It's telling you, don't eat as much. Don't eat those cookies. Don't do this. And if you can start listening to that and you sign up for the discomfort, it's only going to be about 90 days. When you introduce a new habit, it's going to be difficult and then it gets easier, And this is where a coach can help because the information is out there. How to diet, how to work out, how to do anything, right? The information's out there. The issue is people don't know how to apply that information. So once you have a coach that says, hey, here is the clear plan based on your goals and objectives, we're going to meet each week and talk about your progress. For me, with my clients, I look at what they're tracking in the app every day. So I see the foods that they're eating. I have a private app where I can prescribe a workout. We're seeing if they're doing the workouts. And then we're talking about it each and every week. That level of accountability is going to be the difference that is going to get you there. And then in 90 short days, the habits will be installed. You'll be able to do it on your own. And then we just focus, what's the next bad habit that we want to address? So that's the process.
Well, thank you. And it takes will, right? I mean,
Yes.
willpower here. And by the way, if there's will, there's a way.
Yes, sir.
It's just that when you get to the point where, as you said, you wake up like, I don't like what I see. I'm not feeling right. This got to stop. I got to make a change. And you start. Everybody, as you said, wants to be better, whatever that better means to
What for
them.
them? That's right.
Exactly. But the fact of the matter, but everybody knows that when you're not healthy physically, you feel it. It you can tell. This is not a joke, folks. If you're listening, watching, you know if your body is really optimum or not. You know if you're not really in the best shape or not. You may ignore it or decline the idea that you are because you're in denial, and that might be the truth or maybe a fact or just what it is. But the fact of the matter is, you can ask the question: am I really comfortable with this? You are comfortable because you're allowing it to, but literally deep inside, what is the true
Deep
answer?
inside.
Yeah, the answer will be like, I can do better than this, right? And if that is the answer, then it's time to change. Now, again, we're not forcing anyone to make that change, but you have to ask the question. You got to start somewhere. You got to start making. Now that takes us to life's purpose. That's an expertise of yours.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really enjoying this interview. And I'll tell you that you hit on something there that I just want to beat the drum on again, which is Folks, just be honest with yourself. Just ask, what do I really, really want? Look, you don't need a six pack to be happy. And in fact, that's not going to make you happy. You don't need $80 million in the bank to be happy. But be honest with yourself. Do you want more? Do you want to go on vacations that you're not able to go on today? Do you want to look a little better in the mirror? Do you want to feel better in your body? Do your ankles hurt or your back hurt? Just got to be honest about that stuff. And then just start moving forward on addressing those issues. So back to your question. So life's purpose, yes, I feel that I have the answer for everyone. Okay, so this is your life's purpose. Your life's purpose is to create the best version of you, and you do this through acts of self-love. So you do the things that build you, and you gradually remove all of the things that break you. And if you do this for long enough, you are going to become the optimized version of yourself. And then your secondary purpose will become obvious. And that is generally going to be to help others in some way. In some way, shape, or form, it's to help others. So we start with ourselves, fix all of the problems in your own life, give yourself as much self-love as possible through your actions. Again, not through self-soothing. Like, I know drinking feels nice when you're drinking, but it breaks you down because then your health is compromised tomorrow. So that's got to go. Let's focus on nutritious foods, exercise, improving your mindset, your self-talk. What are you saying to yourself? And if we do this for long enough and introduce all the right habits, you are going to get to the point where you feel so good that now you can be of better service to your family, your friends, your kids, your community, maybe society at large, and then your secondary purpose will reveal itself. So that's my take on things. What do you think?
Well, I think you answered everybody's. You fix everybody's problem with one answer. I mean, you define life's purpose for everyone because that's really. I think I agree. I mean, that's everyone watching and listening right now. We can relate to that, right? That's what we want.
Yeah.
As you said, it's just like, well, it feels good to drink, but it feels better not to. You see, that's the other thing. Like, it's not about does it feel good? What can be better? And I think sometimes that's the really, what we need to strive for. And if
Oh,
you want, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say that's the big thing is you have to realize that sometimes things that are pleasurable actually hurt you, and things that are not pleasurable actually build you. So the key is not to pursue pleasure, it's to pursue the things that build you and to remove the things that break you down in some way. So anything I say that has a downside to it. So eating really bad food or smoking weed or drinking alcohol, all of these things give you a temporary pleasure, but for a long-term price. Try and reduce those and instead add the things that you kind of don't want to do, right? Nobody wants to go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning to do their legs, but I promise you the rest of the day you're going to feel amazing. So if we can switch your mindset around pleasure and instead sorry,
It's
instead
okay.
focus on purpose, we're really going to get there. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you though.
No, 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 not at all. As a matter of fact, it's. I love what you said. I mean, people are amazing, right? We
Yeah,
we don't want to change because we're again in the comfort zone. We want the easy
bingo.
pleasure or the quick pleasure because it feels good. But what's the price you pay? You see, we don't sometimes don't think about it, and sometimes it could be too late. I don't believe that it's ever too late, but
I
sometimes
agree.
could be there's a point of difficult return, not no return, but it will be a little hard. Maybe the damage will be a little bit more advanced that you might. But the good news is the body is resilient. We can,
It is.
the
It's a
the system
miracle.
the system can work with you if you give it the right time, the right ingredients. It's funny. I was listening to you when you said, the sweet stuff that the pleasures and all stuff. I just one thing came. Barbara O'Neill, Dr. Barbara, you probably know about her.
Yes.
One thing she always says: the bitter it is, the better for your liver, right? I mean, who loves bitter stuff? No one. But when you know that it's good for your liver, you would actually take it because it's actually not hurting you; it's making you better. Well, same thing here. Yes, giving up all those pleasures can be a pain because you're so used to them; they're comfortable. But are they really pleasures or they're temporary fixes? It's like a little high that goes away and you have a headache, right? You wake up in the morning, you get drunk at night. In the morning, like you're terrible. You can you do this, you're not feeling good. You gotta, you're dizzy. I mean, it's not worth it, is it? Now, again, for some people, that's the life they want, and it's all good. But really, is it the life you want? See, that's the thing. And if everybody starts asking the question when they wake up, I'm like, now, can we make the difference? Yes. Can you change things? Yes. Is it? I love what you said. A year ago, you woke up, I'm like, nope, time's up, and you're a whole different person today. You're the same person, but you're just an improved person.
Yeah.
you
Well, and
you
that's the thing, like I say to people, so often I'll get questions because I do Q&As on my Instagram a couple times a week where I just field questions from the people that are following me, people that are interested. And I'll get a lot of questions about balance. Like, aren't I able to live a balanced life where I can eat, drink maybe on the weekends and things like that? And my answer is always the same. Like, yes, you can. You can live a balanced life if that's what you want. But I believe that living a optimized life is really the better way to be, and one where you always show yourself that love, right? And again, like pleasure seeking, self-soothing is a form of love. Like we're doing it because in the moment we feel uncomfortable, and so we want to do something that feels normal, something that, again, a habit that has been entrenched for our whole lives. Like maybe we ate cookies because our mom used to bake them, right? Or maybe we like drinking with our brothers or our best friends. And so we have good memories around that. So it's not to belittle those things, those are for real. But if you can just look at it and realize that the downside is the issue, and that all you have to do is change that as a habit, and that habit can be changed. Again, just an uncomfortable period of change, which is usually about 60 days, maybe 90 days at most, where you're going to go through a discomfort. But if you can get to the other side, you won't miss it. Like I do not miss all of my old vices that I had. And believe me, there were plenty. Okay, plenty, more than I can count. And I don't miss them. I was just visiting friends last weekend, and many of them are still engaging in these same behaviors. Not once was I motivated to join them, but I spent time with them. I enjoyed their company. It was a beautiful experience. It wasn't weird at all. I just didn't partake. So that's the message that I have for your audience is, if there's something that in your heart, in your soul, there's a downside to it, but you don't know that you can change it, trust me, it can be done. And working with a coach is going to supercharge your ability to solve that issue. Trust me on that.
Well, thank you, Josh. So you touched on something that I want to just ask the question. People sometimes are afraid of the expectations of others or how people are
Yes.
going to perceive them. So how do we deal with that? Because I think you best presented it. You went with hang out with your friends. It was cool. They didn't judge you. You were good. But people are always afraid. Like if I change, am I going to lose my entourage? Am I going to lose my friends? I mean, I believe personally, if they're yours, they're going to be yours for life, right? But so give us your spin on that one because I think that's a big deal because people are probably not willing to change because they're afraid of what it may do to them in their society and their entourage.
Oh, yeah. Boy, that's such a good point. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. Okay. So last June was when I had that wake up moment where I thought I have to change everything. Last July, the same group of friends that I just saw last weekend, we're doing a big get together. But I was so early in my journey of cutting these things out of my life that I thought I can't do it. I can't join them this time. And they were actually a little bit upset with me, that I wouldn't make the time. And I just said, look, I can't do it. But it's because I knew that I did not yet have the strength. I did not have my new habits in place. So I don't want to sugarcoat this for your audience. Yes, there will be an awkward period. It will happen as well. I think the universe tests us a little bit as well by throwing up some roadblocks. And so a friend will invite you to go out and drink or to do something that you're trying to change. Another one for me was my mom. Moms don't want to see us change. Moms love us the way that they are, right? And so every time my mom would see me, she said, boy, you're changing a lot. Boy, you're really getting thin. I'm very concerned about you. And she wasn't comfortable with the changes I was going through. Now, when she sees me, she's like, wow, okay, you got into really great shape. But yes, this is going to be a challenge. All I can say to your folks is you've got to you've got to believe that what you're doing is the right thing for you. And this is part of the strength that you're going to develop, is the strength to be the individual that you need, the individual that you know is the right one, despite what everyone else is going to say or going to think. And again, they're just like all of us, right? They're uncomfortable with change. So seeing you as their friend, family member, loved one changing is an uncomfortable process for them. So we got to be empathetic. We've got to understand that it's coming from a good place. They like us the way we are, and they want to keep us that way, but we've got to do what's right for us. But I'll tell you, something interesting will happen. Once you've made progress and really changed, people will start noticing and saying things. So I had a couple of my friends pull me aside last weekend and just say, wow, really impressed with what you're doing. It's so inspirational, and that makes it all worth it, you know?
Thank you. And by the way, that is a great feeling. First of all, for you, but people are eventually seeing that change, and you might even touch them with that, and they may
I
be like,
hope
"Oh,
so.
I want to be just like that." Now, again, we're not asking people to change, but
No,
but but this is mathematical, folks. I mean, 1 + 1 = 2, right? I mean, unless someone comes up with a different formula, and I've heard somebody says it equals 3, and they were able to define somehow, and break it down. But that's another discussion. But the fact is, folks, if you eat too much sugar, there is a high risk of a lot of bad things. If you're doing too much, there is a high risk. There's no we might ignore the fact that it is, but we know the facts. Like you talk to someone who smokes, they know that there is bad for your health, but they smoke because again habits, right? So that's
yes.
something we all know. But no, on the same aspect of it, if you make the necessary changes, again, the mathematical will apply. You will start seeing the shifts and the healthier and the better, and you're improving across the board. We all want the same thing in a way that is, we want to be better at who we are, health wise and stuff. I think you covered all the angles. And by the way, you touch on everything because to change, it's not just one thing. You change the mindset, you change your style of eating, your style of drinking, your behaviors, your waking up time, your food, your calorie counts. So it's not this is not switching one thing. It's got to
No.
be a full 360 concept in order for you to be a whole new you, with or an improved you. I would say not a whole new you, just an improved you, because you're still going to be you, but now you are, as you use the word, optimized. You know, you'll be the optimized version of yourself. Now, who doesn't want that? I mean, you'll be the super man and woman of you. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. I mean, and you helping people achieve that.
And I'll tell you that I think that this is what I also want people to know, okay? You are not your habits. They are just some of them you have chosen for yourself, but many of them have been assigned to you from the people that you're around and maybe where you live, the community, what you've had to do for work. So these, you are not your habits. You can take control of your thoughts and your actions. You can take complete control of them and make the necessary changes. And in fact, I would suggest this is the only thing you are in control of in this world, is what you think and what you do. And so that's really the program that I'm promoting to people, is let me help you take control of your thoughts and your action and move in the direction that deep down in your heart and soul you are being called to. I'll help you uncover what that is, but I'll help you develop the strength to do this. And then if you decide, yes, I do want to live a balanced life around my eating habits or around my drinking, maybe I do want to do these things on occasion, that's your choice. But let's give you the control back. If you feel like you're not in control of a certain aspect of your life, you're probably not. So let's take control of it. It's very empowering. It's intoxicating to feel like I can choose at any moment and I'm not tempted, that I can choose what I'm going to do and what I'm going to think. It's very intoxicating.
It's powerful that we if you're listening, watching, or not, you're in charge. You can.
This is the only part of the universe you get control over, right? What's happening in politics or the environment is all outside of our hands, but you've been given a sliver of control. So I tell people, take control of that. Just take control of that and see how you feel. It's going to change your whole life. You'll be surprised at what you can do.
I love it. And we've heard the expression, probably heard the same. You're the CEO of your life. You're the captain of your helm. I mean, you're on the helm. all these things, it's real. It's not, this is not far-fetched. This is not, sci-fi. It's real stuff. You're watching and listening. If you want to make a change in your life, you can any given moment. As you said, all the outside, I guess, influences are still outside influences. You can remove them. Now, the coaching concept is here to help you adhere to those, moments of shifting and changing, because
Yes.
sometimes we are alone and we can't do those things because we don't have that person or someone to keep us in check. And the accountability you mentioned earlier is a key factor. Sometimes we tend not to be very accountable when it comes to ourselves because it is not cool, right? But when you have someone that is holding us accountable, I think that makes a difference. So that's where coaching comes in. So that leads me to the question, how can people, work with you, and how does your program work?
Yeah, thank you. So one thing I'll say on the accountability piece, right? You're right. The reason that the coaching model is so effective is because people, and I'm not pointing the finger, I'm the same way, but we don't consistently follow through on the promises we make to ourselves, right? So we say, on starting on Monday, I'm going to start working out, or I'm not going to eat poorly this weekend, or whatever. And then we break those promises. When we do this, we erode trust in ourselves, and then that makes it infinitely more difficult to stick to a plan. Every time we break those promises we make to ourselves, we lose more and more trust. And it gets to the point where we're just not in a place where we can make the changes that deep down we want to make. That's where a coach can help to come in and say, okay, the promise now isn't just to you, it's to me as well. Because we're putting together a game plan of what you're trying to accomplish, and I'm going to be here. So now you're promising for both of us. That gives people that little bit of extra lift that they need. But honestly, the true goal is to get people to start keeping the promises to themselves so they can one day stand alone. They don't need that coach anymore, and they can do it on their own. And for the record, I still work with coaches because even though I've hit really high heights in my career, my income level, my own personal habits, there's always another level. There's always someone that can help you go to another level. So I'm just not just a coach, I'm also a customer in this model because I'm such a huge believer. So to answer your question, yeah, sorry, did you have a comment there, Herkin?
No, no, no. Yeah, I was saying, that's it.
Yeah.
It
Okay, cool.
works.
Yeah, it works. And I am a huge believer in it. So I've got two programs. So I've got a group program where people from all different walks of life come together in a weekly Zoom call, just like this. And we meet to discuss everything around mindset, healthy lifestyle habits, relationships, success, whatever that individual is struggling with. That's my mid-level program. It's lower on cost. It's affordable for almost any budget. And we do subscriptions 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months for that one. I want to say sometimes people are a little bit turned off about the idea of a group setting, but let me tell you, the types of questions that come up in a group environment often are questions you would never think to ask. And the discussion that arises from that can be extremely beneficial. So do not discount how valuable it is to hear other people and what they're struggling with, and the way that you can take some nuggets to apply to your own life in that sort of an environment. So that's my mid-level program. Then I have an elite tier, which is a one-on-one program. So elite members can come to the group calls as well, but they also get a weekly one-on-one meeting with me where we talk about the specifics of what they're looking to address. And just to give you a sense, I've got customers that are, or clients that are overweight or even in an obese state that are looking to really cut a lot of weight. I've got other clients that are sales professionals that are looking for a level up. I've got young people that are looking for mentorship. So there's really no sort of situation that you may be struggling with that I wouldn't be interested in hearing about. And I'll put my hand up and say if I don't think that it's an area that I can help with. But if it's around habit change, if it's around developing a positive mindset, if it's around success, these are all areas that are real areas of strength for me.
The elite program is also like 3, 6, and 12 months, or
Yeah, we also do a 1 month option on that just because, I will typically do a pre-call, for elite customers, just to make sure that we get along, that we jive together. So that's really important. But we also do a 1 month option for that so people can feel out the program, make sure that I'm the right voice, the right coach for them. Um, but yeah, the elite is, if you're really looking to invest in your success, that's the one to go with. But again, the group program, affordable for most budgets. So I'd love to hear from anyone that's interested in exploring either of those programs.
So and you take clients from all over the world because I think
Yeah.
it's all remote. So I mean, unless they're local and they can see you in I guess in person, but that always makes it easy. I mean, the one thing that
Yeah.
came out of post COVID was the fact that everybody can go digital and can be remote. So it's working well.
Yeah, it's great. And like, I have clients around the world, but I talk to people in Dubai, in Asia, all over the place. And it's absolutely incredible. India, it's so great to connect with people all around the world. But of course, local is amazing as well. Like getting to actually see people and meet with people. And, we're salespeople, like we love people. So I love the ability to meet with people in person and work with them in that way. But absolutely, wherever you are in this world, I want to help you if you need some help.
So now, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, thank you for that. So I do have a website, but I'm going to steer people towards my Instagram account. So if you don't have Instagram, go to joshflower.com, just one word, very simple, and you'll be able to connect with me there. But I would encourage you, check me out on Instagram because I actually live my program live every day on my page. So I put up one post every single day talking about my workouts or my lifestyle or sharing some wisdom that I've accumulated in my life or in my career. And I also post on my stories all day long. So you're going to see the time that I wake up, what I do in the morning, what I'm doing in the gym that day, some of the foods that I'm eating, some of the interesting things that are coming along in my day. So that is a really great way. Like if you've been intrigued by this conversation, but would like to see a little bit more, hit me up on Instagram. It's Josh Flower and then the number one. And you can message with me there and you can check out what I'm doing. I'd love to have some people check me out there.
All right, and I'll have that link right into the description of the show so people can just click up and
Amazing.
go to you. Also on our website, your picture will be there and your link will be there so people can literally just go up to you. Because I love the concept that you live it and, can show people what it looks like, in a real, spin. So thank you. Well, I think we've exceeded our about 15 minutes ago
Wow.
or more.
Wow. The time
Yeah.
flies when you're enjoying the
I,
conversation. I'll tell you.
I know we talked about an hour, but I don't hold these conversations to the time frame because if it's running well, I mean I think you and I we can spend a couple more hours easily on this, but certainly we've covered quite a bit, and I think if someone can take one or two pieces from this, they can still be ahead of the game from whatever it is, and that's what it is. We just want to help people to see value, to see something. We've talked about sales, leadership, success, personal habits, mindset, and the whole nine. And if you want more, now you know who to go to. Josh is available to you guys. I will have again, as I said, the link. So do check him out. Josh, any last words of wisdom you want to leave our audiences with?
Well, Hurricane, I just want to thank you for bringing me on the show today. You're very good at what you do, and I've really enjoyed the conversation. So thank you for that. And I just want to encourage everybody listening to believe in yourself. Believe in the calling of your conscience, your heart, and your soul. I want you to listen to that. If you know that you're not on the right path, please listen to that voice and look to fill yourself up with as much self-love as possible. I can teach you the ways that are working for me. You can see how I'm living in my life every single day. It'd be an honor to hear from you, to talk with you, and to work with you.
All right. Well, Josh, likewise, I want to thank you for being on the show and sharing your wisdom and your work and your expertise, as well as your coaching, with our audiences, because I think there's always, a need for more people to help and guide and be as a resource. We are a resourceful and informative network, so this is perfect. And so I thank you for that. And that's it,
My
folks. This
pleasure.
is, yeah. Listen, I enjoyed this, man. Thank you. I really love this discussion.
Me too.
So folks, that's the end of our show for today. So hope you've taken some nuggets here, and definitely do check out Josh's Instagram, and that will be it for us. And we'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic, new guest.